Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 15, 2024 Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee meeting. I am Councilman Amilcar Hernandez, and I am chair of this committee. This meeting is broadcasting live on HPA-TV's Xfinity Government Channel 96 and Frontier Government Channel 6032. It will also be streamed via hpa-tv.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV Apple TV, Amazon TV, and Roku TV apps. It will also be made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. I would like to acknowledge my council colleagues present here today. I see in order that I see them on the screen, I see Councilman Thomas, Councilman Gale, Councilwoman Rosado, and Council President Surgeon. And we have, at the very least, we have 4 voting members, so we do have a quorum. And in tonight's agenda, we have a full agenda. So let's just get started. We're going to start with item 2.1, Mayor Arulampalan with accompanying resolution confirming the appointment of Sean Wooden to the Pension Commission. And today we have the honor and pleasure to have Sean Wooden here with us, and we're going to open up the floor for Sean to speak a little bit about himself and why he would like to join this Pension Commission. Sean Wooden, the floor is yours.
All right, now you can hear me. Good evening, and thank you, Chair and council members. It's great to be with you virtually back in the virtual chamber here. Just to give a brief background on myself, as many of you know, I'm a Hartford native. Born and raised, went to Trinity College, went to NYU Law, came back, started my career at what was then Day, Berry & Howard, became Day Pitney Law Firm, became a partner there, and I led our public pension plan investment practice. And so I worked with pension funds throughout the country and advising them on investments, structuring investments, fiduciary duties, and the like. As probably all of you know, I was also a former member of the Hartford City Council for 4 years during that period where I served as council president. I also chaired this very committee. So I did that for 4 years. I would say relevant to this, that's notable about that period of time. There are lots of things that are notable, but that I was very focused on our pension system at that time, and as a member of the council, very focused on making sure that the system was adequately funded and protected, particularly during budget processes. Addition to that, I led the creation of our first OPEB trust that the city now has assets within and starting to look out for those types of liabilities. Went on to become treasurer for the state of Connecticut, where I was the sole trustee for our then $47 billion pension system, and dealt with the range of issues that all public pensions deal with: liabilities, assume rates of return, making sure your asset allocation strategy is appropriate, and just a host of other issues. And to fast forward to why I would be interested or would like to serve, it's because I've always been interested in serving my city. And so when the mayor asked me about doing this, I was more than happy to do so. I left public service, I guess, a year and a half ago or so now, but still very much committed to serve publicly. And this is one way that I felt uniquely positioned to do so. Currently, I'm a partner and chief public pension strategist for Apollo Global Management, which is a global alternative asset management firm. And I'm the resident expert in the public pension space on behalf of the firm. So tried to be brief, respecting your full agenda this evening, but happy to address any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Wooden, for speaking to us a little bit about yourself and your desire to join this pension commission. I'd like to open up the floor for my council colleagues to, if they have any questions, any statements that they'd like to make. So the floor is open. Do we have any of my council colleagues? Councilman Gale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, Mr. Wooden. It's always a pleasure to see you. And
good evening, Councilman.
And to your point, here it is, full circle. Here you are back at council on the other side of the table this time.
Yes,
it's a great city. It's a great city. Really thrilled to see you, step forward. Hearing you talk about the state's pension, 47 billion makes our paltry 1 billion seem insignificant, but of course we know these are huge sums of money, huge sums.
Yep.
And I also will take note that of the coincidence that we're talking about all of these things on tax day, April 15th. So, but a couple of one additional comment for you and one question for you. To give some thought to, not to necessarily answer this evening, but I believe it's the case that Hartford has, to some degree, underperformed municipalities across the United States over the last 10 years. And so I'm certainly hoping that with your expertise and, coming on to the commission, that wherever you see necessary changes, you're going to speak right up and try to move us into some better performing funds. And I actually think that they've actually been taking some moves, because I know I participate in both the MRF and the 401k, and I believe I've received notices from the Treasurer's office that there's been some change in different funds. The other thing, though, that seems to be a constant concern, one that we haven't really been in a position to address, is the fate of all of our retirees who have fixed pensions, because their contracts did not include COLA increases, and every time we get an analysis of what it would cost to provide a reasonable COLA, these are large sums of money that it seems the city doesn't have. So again, not that you should answer these things tonight, but certainly something for you to consider. I'm sure when you were on council, the question was raised at that time, and here it is 9 years later, and we haven't done a thing about it. So whatever the situation was 9 years ago, it's 9 years worse for any of our retirees. So anything imaginative that you can come up with on that score would certainly be welcome. So thank you.
Thank you, John. And those are very, very important issues and things to think about. Additionally, I'll acknowledge, from being on that side of the table, as I would routinely tell people, we are an under-resourced city. And right, so there are no easy answers or quick fixes, right? But one of the things that I will certainly commit is that, one, I'll take a deep dive into all of it, including making sure that we have the right benchmarks in how we analyze how we're performing, and that we're transparent about that. And two, not to be afraid to speak frankly and candidly, both with the council, with the mayor, and with my colleagues in the public, about what I see and what I think, in collaboration with others, we need to do to put ourselves in a stronger position, because it's all related. There are lots of retirees kind of depending on the decisions that the pension commission and the city makes. And for me, I always remind people, this is fundamentally about people. We get caught up in the numbers a lot, but there's a life and retirement security or not behind each one of those individuals. So.
Thank you.
Assistant Majority Leader Clark, I saw your hand raised. Would you like to make any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I just want to say I don't have any questions for Treasurer Wooden. It's just a pleasure for him to want to take up the realm of being back in public service and serving the great city of Hartford. And I welcome him serving as a member of the Pension Commission, and I'm sure that he will bring his full allotment of skills and expertise to making our pension better than what it has been. So I look forward to him serving, and he has my full support to be on the Pension Commission. So thank you, Mr. Treasurer, for saying yes once again.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosado.
Hello, Mr. Wood, how are you?
Hello.
Hello. So I was thrilled, excited, happy when I saw that appointment come through, and I'm gonna, not repeat myself, but echo on Councilman Gale's comments and questions, and just want to thank you for your service. Happy to see you back on a commission in our great city. I'm extremely excited because I know you have the institutional knowledge to go in there and dig and give us recommendations and your opinion as to where our pension plan is. So great to see you, and you have my full support on this appointment. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Councilwoman.
All right, so I'll make a statement. Before I make a statement, let me allow my council colleague, Councilman Thomas.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm so sorry about that.
Yep. Yeah, we hear you.
Wait. Yes, I just kind of wanted to echo the statements of my council colleague, TJ Clark, and just say we are excited to have you back in the city, Treasurer Wooden. And I know you've dedicated lots of your adult life to the city of Hartford, and just happy to see you returning to it. And I know some of the first council meetings I ever watched in person involved you being on city council. And so I just wanted to say it's awesome to hear you return back to form. And I'm sorry for my little one in the background, but I do represent the Working Families Party. So I am working families for sure. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, Councilman. And that's pretty cool. I don't know what you saw when you watched me and the others, but hopefully it inspired you, it not deterred you. So.
It definitely did. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'll make a statement. I heard you, Sean, said something about the way that the benchmarks the way that we analyze, right, the numbers and the benchmarks. And I appreciate that in a way, because when you have, all these hundreds of allocations, we're going to get caught up in numbers, and it's just too overwhelming. And having some benchmarks at different levels is extremely important, because that's the only way for us to kind of measure, whether, those metrics, whether it's working or not, or whether changes should happen. So I'm glad that you put that in the forefront of part of your vision for the commission, to have those benchmarks be cleared. So that way we could have a very level conversation about, okay, these are the benchmarks, why are we not meeting them, and analyze it, from a benchmark metrics perspective. And I appreciate that very much. And that's pretty much the only thing that I wanted to say. I think that all of my colleagues have already had the opportunity to speak. Are there any other comments? Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion. Councilwoman Rosado?
I just wanted to say briefly, I just listened to Councilman Alex Thomas, and sometimes we do things and we don't know how it affects, the people that are coming behind you. And so, I served on the council for like 7 months, and then I became council president, and I said, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Right. And so everyone would say, just go to YouTube and watch Council President Sean Warden, and that will help you. And let me tell you, it was months of me watching you. And I have to say that a part of watching you really got me through all those meetings. So I just want to say thank you again.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm all set, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Move to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and properly second. Those in favor, show it by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against it? No. So this item will be sent back to council with a favorable recommendation. This item will be shown on our next meeting on Monday, April 22nd. So Mr. Wooden, you are more than welcome to stay if you want to stay and listen to the other ones. If not, you're also more than welcome to go about your business and, have a great evening with this perfect weather.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to all the committee members, not just for your support in advancing this, but for your comments. It's been a while since I've heard anything about my time on the council. And so I appreciate that. And I'll also note before I go that this is the first OMB meeting that I've ever been at where I didn't have a vote. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wooden. All right, so now we're gonna move on to our second item on the agenda, 2.2, Mayor Arulan with accompanying ordinance amending the anti-blight and property maintenance program, with public hearing coming up in about an hour and a half or so at 7 o'clock. And we have, yes, we do. We have Randall Davis here, our interim director of development services, to speak on this item. So I'll open the floor for Randall Davis to speak on this item. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Councilman, and good evening, everyone. This particular resolution was put forth by the mayor through DDS in an effort to simply strengthen the ordinance that we already have. One of the major components of the ordinance is that it reflects more clearly our ability to charge the maximum state amount per day, which is on vacant properties, which is currently $250 for violations. Part of the purpose for doing this is for those problem landlords who are both unwilling and recalcitrant in correcting violations that make the blight worse in our city, to give us the opportunity to have those fines go up a little bit faster, because sometimes on these large buildings, they don't do things in a timely manner, and sometimes they don't necessarily care about the small fines, and this will hopefully be more of a deterrent to getting them to do what they need to do. By the way, I apologize. Mike was going to be here. Mike Perez, the director of Blight, was going to be here this evening, but something came up and he was unable to attend with us this evening. So that is the largest parameter, which is really just that reflection of what the state rule currently is. And as you probably are aware, both the prior mayor, but certainly under Mayor Arulan, we are being aggressive on these repeat offenders when it comes to blight. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or statements for Mr. Davis regarding this ordinance? Councilman Gale.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say to the administration, thank you for, continued vigilance with respect to making sure that properties in the city are livable, and that we're addressing blight wherever we see it as soon as we can, and with as much muscle as we can. So greatly appreciative of that. I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, is this something we want to move on tonight with the public hearing coming up, or?
We cannot. I believe, and you guys will know better than me, but I believe we cannot move on these. But at least the conversation is happening. So the next time that we pick it up, unless something changes during the public hearing, then we will just be able to send it back to the council.
So we would just end up, after our questions, just postponing it to the next
That
Yeah.
that is correct.
Okay. Anyway, I have no particular questions for you, Mr. Davis. Just thank you.
Councilwoman Rosado?
I don't have a question, but, so Councilman Gale, if I could have your input, an ordinance has to go, how many times is it, 2 before 2 meetings? So this would be the first meeting, so we would have to keep it in committee, right?
Thank you.
Yes, I think so.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. I will, Noelia, make a note to check with corporate counsel just for my own knowledge and make sure that we're doing this correctly. But I believe that Councilwoman Rosado is correct. It has to be on the agenda for 2 cycles. I do have a question just for clarification. The only change, Mr. Davis, that we're making here is that we're changing the 100 to 150 for occupied, and then we're adding language for the vacant spaces at a $250 range per day, right? Those are the only 2 changes here. The other question would be, if they decide not to pay these and it goes 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, and there's no action, does this ordinance already has language about the next steps?
Yes, there's a whole due process, all of our ordinances that allow fines have an entire due process piece that goes to them, maybe a little bit different here and there. But in the case of blight, we can allow fines to accumulate, and we get to a point where we can have an assessment done where the value of those fines will be assessed, in which case we can actually lien the properties for that assessment. Obviously, within that process, people have the right to appeal. So there's a whole due process, but yes, these fines can accumulate and they can also be attached to the property as liens.
Thank you, thank you. And now I just found the subsection F that speaks to the failure to pay, and I see the stat segment there. My apologies, I've not seen that before. Are there any other comments or questions from any of my colleagues? Seeing none, do we have a motion for postpone?
So move.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, no one against. So this motion will be postponed according to rules for ordinance amendments. All right, so thank you, Mr. Davis, for jumping in and helping us, go through this resolution and understanding these ordinance. So thank you very much. Moving on to item 2.3, I believe I have here that for Director of Economic Development, Pat Pentalo, this item, he asked for this item to be postponed until our next committee meeting. Do we have any comments?
Which item are we talking about?
I'm gonna read the item. You're correct. I should read the item. Item 2.3, Councilwoman Rosado, Councilman John Gale, Councilwoman Kelly Bilodeau, Councilman Alex Thomas, Councilman Amilcar Hernandez, Councilman Josh Mixon, resolution for the introduction and support of a pedal pop service by a local franchise owner in Hartford, Connecticut. Yep.
And I'm sorry, I missed it, but who's asked for the postponement?
Director of Economic Development, Pat Pentalo.
Ah, okay. Understood.
So do we have a motion for postponing?
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Anyone against it? All right. Hearing none, this item will be postponed and we will pick it up on our next committee meeting next month. I think it's May 20th. Moving on to item 2.4. Councilman John Gale, Councilwoman Rosado, resolution for the enhancement of the City of Hartford's website for improved access to daily meetings. And I believe we have Director of MHIS, Charis Snipes, here with us tonight. The floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, council members. I just read the resolution. So this is for MHIS to create a link from the iCompass third-party cloud-based app that's used to display information regarding the city council. So this is something that we can take care of and do. We should have this resolved by the end of the week. So what we'll do is just create a link for the calendar, and it will be on the homepage of the city website. Quick, easy fix.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Director Snipes. Do we have any comments, any questions for Director Snipes? Councilman Gale.
Yeah, it was just so we're clear, one of the issues, Director, that we've confronted, and I think you and I talked about it ever so briefly, was when I am on my cell phone and I pull up the city's website, it's very difficult to find like this meeting. It's difficult to find the calendar of meetings that are taking place. Now, we have a calendar of meetings that include all council meetings, council committee meetings, as well as many of the commission meetings. And I think that's the thrust of the resolution, is to ask that a link to that calendar be set up so that when you're on your cell phone, that link is on page 1. And likewise, if you're at a desktop computer or you're looking at it, because I recognize that they're very different environments, and you need a different fix for each one of them. But that was at least my concern that caused me to join into this resolution.
Okay.
Councilwoman Rosado?
Yes. Hi, Sharice.
Hi.
So I had to step away for a minute, but my question is, and I know that Councilman Gale was saying, for it to show on the homepage, is it gonna be like a user-friendly button or link that's way on the top, that it doesn't get lost in the page in the bottom, so that?
Yeah, so we'll put it where it's visible on the city website on the homepage. So as soon as you go to the City of Hartford website, you'll see Do It Online. We'll just create a link in that section of the website, which is the front page, where everyone can see the link more visibly.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other colleagues with any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion at this point.
Move to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
This item has been, the motion has been made and properly second. Those in favor of moving this back with a favorable recommendation to council, say aye.
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 Those against it? Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it. This item will be moved back to council with a favorable recommendation. Thank you, Director Snipes, for coming in and speaking about this item. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. All right, now let's move on. Item 2.5, Mayor Arolan with accompanying recommend the general fund budget and capital improvement program ordinance of appropriation for general fund, ordinance concerning appropriation in the capital improvement fund, ordinance tax levy on list of October 1st, 2023. It had a public hearing on April 3rd, and it will have another public hearing on Tuesday, May 7th at Weaver High School. Because this is the budget resolution that will still have a public hearing coming up. I will entertain a motion for postponement of this item.
Mr. Chairman, through you, so moved.
Second.
Item has been, a motion has been made and properly second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the ayes have it. So this item will be postponed. Item 2.6, Councilwoman Rosado, resolution on promoting awareness of tax abatement provisions for vehicle taxes under Connecticut General Statutes Title 12, Section 12-124. At the request of the author of this resolution, Councilwoman Rosado, she would like this item to be postponed until next meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone till the next meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Those in favor of these motions, say aye.
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 All right, nobody against it? Are still, okay, perfect. So this item, this motion, the motion to postpone has been approved. This item will be taken up on our next meeting. Item 2.7, Councilwoman Mary Rosado, Councilman John Gale, Councilman Josh Mixon, resolution of the Hartford Code of Common Council for reviewing and amending handicap parking policies and meter charges in collaboration with the Hartford Parking Authority and Disability Rights Organization. At the request of the
Make a
author,
motion.
there you go.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this item to allow the parking authority to have additional time to be able to present to council.
Do we have any second?
I'm sorry. I was looking at the resolution.
So a motion has been made and properly second to postpone item 2.7. Those in favor say aye.
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 All right, item has, motion to postpone has been approved. We will take this up on our next meeting. And our last item on the agenda, item 2.8, Councilman John Gale and Councilwoman Rosado, resolution calling for the Hartford Town Clerk to mail absentee ballots applications and essential information to each registered voter in the city prior to the presidential election to ensure maximum public awareness and participation. The author of this resolution would like to postpone this item. May I have a motion for postponement? Or are there any comments?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess the question is whether there's new information that is coming forward. At the last committee meeting, we discussed this in some detail, and there were some concerns raised by some committee members who thought, you know, it needed some more time. I think both of the, I think Councilman Clark was one of those who, and the chair was one of those. I don't know if either of you have additional questions or if there's additional research that you'd like to see at this point, or if this is something that you may be prepared to take action on. We continue to get deeper into the election cycle, and this is addressed directly at the upcoming November elections. But so I just raised that question for either the chair or Councilman Clark.
I do not have any questions regarding this resolution. Does anybody else, System Majority Leader, Council President, Councilman Thomas, anybody else any questions regarding this?
No, Mr. Chairman, through you, I don't have any additional questions. Well, I do have one. I know Councilman Gale had reference about what the state of California is doing. Question 4 through you, Mr. Chair, to Councilman Gale. Has he been in contact with anybody from California that might be able to discuss this with us as to how they roll that out?
Hang on just a quick second. Let me just get that brochure. So the short answer is no, I haven't been in contact with anybody. The longer answer is this is that brochure. This is a sample for what California does. This was done just for the presidential primary election that they just had on March 5th. And I know I've sent copies of this to various people, but this has multiple pages of information. This is a so I don't know if they have page numbers in here, but it's about 28, 30 pages of information. And certainly I'm not suggesting that that's what Hartford embark upon at this time. That would be more appropriate, it seems to me, for the state, the Secretary of State's office to do at some point in time. But I think the proposal here is modest in that it's designed to let's start the process, right? So it's modest because it doesn't do anything in any kind of a major way. We're talking about sending out 1 page of information, two-sided Spanish and English, that alerts people to the fact that there's an election and lets them know the offices that are up for election, and provides them with various links to get additional information. So in that regard, I think we would be embarking more on an evolution as opposed to, trying to jump in and do the 28 pages that Los Angeles now seems to do before every election. This would, as I said, this would be more of an evolutionary step designed to start that process. It potentially would give us some feedback as to whether it was worthwhile. I mean, whether we saw increased voter participation, whether we saw increased voter engagement. Not even clear how you would measure that, but I think if there was certainly a measurable increase, we would probably attribute it to something along these lines. So as I said, I mean, I think these are sort of modest steps, but the kinds of things that would behoove us with the low voter turnout that Hartford has, the lowest in the state. Clearly, we're not engaging our voters in Hartford. So this becomes a little bit of civics 101 that nobody else seems to be interested in doing it. So it seems like kind of thing that maybe we should take the lead on. So very long-winded answer, Councilman Clark, but there's your answer.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right. Are we ready to make a motion on this item?
I'd like to make a motion to refer back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Well, I'll second that motion.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
All right, item, motion has been made and properly second. Those in favor of sending it back with a favorable recommendation to council?
Aye.
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 All right, so I'm sorry, well, I think anyway, 3 anyway, it doesn't matter. So we do have a favorable recommendation back to council. It's hard sometimes to hear who says aye and who doesn't in the screen, but we did have more than the half. So we will be sending this back to council with a favorable recommendation, and that would be, that will be the last item on the agenda for today. I'd like to remind you all that we have a 7 o'clock public hearing. It's a virtual public hearing. Councilman Rosado.
Councilman, you didn't do any nays or abstentions.
I thought everybody said aye, but I will. Okay, I'll do that. Is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't, because I was thinking about what I was gonna say, but I think that's we all got kind of like aye. That Assistant Majority Leader, is that what you said? I think I heard you say aye, right?
Yeah, no, Mr. Chair. I just thought it was a unanimous vote, so that's probably why you didn't call for any nays or abstentions.
That's what I thought. Well, Councilman Rosado may have been right. I may have not say aye, but yeah, for the record, then that's the case. Where was I? Anyway, so this concludes our committee meeting. And I call this meeting to be adjourned. All right, thank you guys.
See you guys at 7.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.